Close your eyes for a moment and travel back in time. Imagine a world where knowledge is a luxury, where books are precious artifacts crafted by hand, each page meticulously written by monks hunched over candlelit desks, taking months, sometimes years, to complete a single volume. These books were so rare and expensive that only the wealthiest nobles and religious leaders could own them. But what if I told you that one man was about to change everything? In the 15th century, information was power, and that power belonged to a select few. The church controlled knowledge. Scholars were isolated. The average person lived and died without ever holding a book in their hands. But then came Johannes Gutenberg, not a scholar, not a priest, but a simple German metalworker with an extraordinary vision. Gutenberg was about to do something that would shake the foundations of human civilization. He would create a machine so revolutionary that it would be compared to the internet of its time, a device that would democratize knowledge, challenge religious authority, and ultimately spark one of the greatest transformations in human history. Buckle up, history lovers. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of the printing press, the invention that took human communication from a whisper to a roar. We'll uncover how one man's brilliant idea broke the chains of ignorance and set the stage for everything we know about communication today. Want to know how a simple metalworker changed the world forever? Keep watching. And if you're hungry for more untold stories that shaped our civilization, make sure to hit that subscribe button on the Medieval Archives. Don't miss this journey into the most incredible untold story of human innovation. Get ready to meet the man who turned the page on human history, literally. Let me introduce you to an unlikely hero, Johannes Gutenberg. He wasn't a famous scholar. He wasn't a wealthy nobleman. He was just an ordinary metalworker from Mainz, Germany, with an extraordinary mind. In the 15th century, most people lived their entire lives in the same small town, doing the same job their fathers and grandfathers had done. But Gutenberg, he was different. As a skilled goldsmith and metalworker, he had something most people didn't, an incredible understanding of how metals could be shaped, molded, and transformed. Imagine working with tiny pieces of metal all day, crafting delicate jewelry and precise instruments. Most people would see this as a mundane job, but Gutenberg saw something more. He saw possibility. He saw a revolution waiting to happen. The world of books in his time was a nightmare of limitation. Monks would spend years, yes, years, copying single books by hand. One mistake, and they'd have to start all over. A single book could cost as much as a small farm. Knowledge was a luxury reserved for the rich and powerful, but Gutenberg had a crazy idea. What if he could create movable metal types that could be used over and over again? What if books could be printed quickly, precisely, and, most importantly, cheaply? Here's the catch. Revolutionary ideas don't come for free. Gutenberg needed money, and lots of it. He approached investors, pitched his wild dream. Some thought he was mad, others saw a glimmer of potential. But investment was risky, and Gutenberg was about to learn just how risky. His biggest investor, Johann Fust, would become both his salvation and his greatest challenge. Fust put money into Gutenberg's workshop, but he wanted results. And when those results were slow in coming, things got complicated, really complicated. Gutenberg was walking a razor's edge. One wrong move could mean losing everything: his workshop, his invention, his dream. Imagine the pressure. Imagine knowing you have an idea that could change the world, but you're one financial misstep away from total ruin. This wasn't just about making a machine. This was about challenging an entire system of knowledge. This was about democratizing information in a world where information was a closely guarded treasure, a simple metal worker, a workshop full of dreams, and a technology that was about to turn the world upside down. Gutenberg's journey was just beginning, and the world had no idea what was coming. Picture this: a book so powerful, so revolutionary, that people whispered it might be the work of the devil himself. Welcome to the story of the Gutenberg Bible, the book that would change everything. In the 15th century, a single Bible was a treasure beyond imagination. Monks would spend years, literally years, carefully copying each page by hand. One mistake meant starting over. One book could cost as much as a small castle. Knowledge was a luxury reserved for the richest nobles and the most powerful churches. But Gutenberg had a different plan. His first massive project would be a Bible like no other, the famous 42-line Bible. 42 lines per page, printed with such precision that it looked almost magical. And magical it was, but not in the way people expected. When the first copies emerged, people were stunned. The pages were identical, perfect. No human errors, no variations. Some religious leaders were terrified. They called it demonic. How could a machine reproduce the sacred word so precisely? It seemed to challenge the very idea of divine inspiration. Today, only 49 original Gutenberg Bibles exist in the world, just 49. And get this, one of these Bibles was sold at auction for more than $5 million. That's right, $5 million for a single book. But this wasn't just about money. This was about something far more important. For the first time in history, the sacred word was no longer controlled exclusively by monasteries. No more days of monks painstakingly copying manuscripts. No more astronomical prices that kept knowledge locked away from ordinary people. Gutenberg's Bible was a declaration of war against ignorance. Each printed page was a blow against the old system. Imagine the power of that moment, when an ordinary person could potentially own a copy of the Bible. It was like giving people a key to a forbidden library. The church tried to resist. Scribes felt threatened. But the printing press was unstoppable. One book became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. Knowledge began to spread like wildfire. This wasn't just a book. This was a revolution bound in leather and paper. This was the moment when information became a right, not a privilege. Gutenberg's 42-line Bible, 49 copies remaining, millions of dollars in value, but its true worth, absolutely priceless. Imagine a weapon more powerful than any sword. A weapon that could topple empires, challenge centuries of absolute power, and change the course of human history. That weapon, the printed word. In the early 16th century, Europe was a powder keg of religious tension. The Catholic Church ruled with an iron fist, controlling not just faith, but knowledge itself. But everything was about to change. Thanks to a monk named Martin Luther and the incredible power of the printing press. Luther wasn't just a religious reformer, he was a revolutionary with a printing press as his primary weapon. Imagine the scene. Luther writes a passionate critique of the church's practices, indulgences, corruption, absolute power. But this time, he didn't just nail a document to a church door. This time, he could print hundreds, thousands of copies. Pamphlets began to spread like wildfire across Europe. From city to city, village to village, Luther's ideas multiplied faster than the church could suppress them. What would have taken years now took mere months. The printing press became the ultimate messenger of rebellion. The church tried to fight back. They attempted to censor these dangerous books. They tried to burn the pamphlets, but it was too late. The genie was out of the bottle. Knowledge could no longer be contained. This was more than a religious conflict. This was a war of ideas, and the battlefield was the printed page. Think about the power of that moment. Ordinary people, for the first time in history, could read ideas that challenged the most powerful institution in Europe. Farmers, craftsmen, merchants, they were now part of a conversation that was previously reserved for priests and nobles. The printing press didn't just spread information, it democratized knowledge. It gave a voice to the voiceless. It challenged absolute power in a way no revolution had ever done before. Here's a challenge for you. If you could save just one book from disappearing forever, what would it be? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you're loving these deep dives into the stories that shaped our world, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Medieval Archives. Because here's the crazy part, this whole revolution started with one man, Johannes Gutenberg, who would ironically die without ever knowing the full impact of his invention. A simple metalworker who unleashed a tsunami of knowledge that would change everything. The printing press proved one simple truth. Ideas are the most powerful weapon humanity has ever created, and once they're set free, there's no turning back. Every great invention has a dark side, and Gutenberg's story, it's a tale of betrayal that would make Hollywood screenwriters jealous. Picture a workshop in Mainz, Germany. Gutenberg hunched over his precious invention, guarding its secrets like a dragon protects its treasure. He knew he had something extraordinary, a technology that could change the world, but he also knew how dangerous that knowledge could be. Enter Johann Fust, Gutenberg's financial backer and, as it would turn out, his greatest enemy. Their partnership was supposed to be a dream team. Fust had the money, Gutenberg had the genius. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares. Gutenberg was meticulous. He kept his printing techniques a closely guarded secret. Every detail, every innovation was protected. He understood that his invention was more than just a machine. It was a revolution waiting to happen. But Fust had other plans. In a move that would go down in history as one of the most brutal betrayals, Fust sued Gutenberg. He claimed Gutenberg had misused the investment money. The courts, which were notoriously friendly to wealthy investors, sided with Fust. In a single legal blow, Gutenberg lost his workshop, his equipment, and worst of all, his reputation. Imagine that moment. Everything you've worked for, everything you've invented, stripped away in an instant. Fust didn't just win a lawsuit, he stole Gutenberg's entire life's work. The ultimate irony, Fust began producing books using Gutenberg's own technology, taking credit for the invention that would change the world. Gutenberg died in poverty, forgotten, alone. He never knew that his name would become synonymous with one of the greatest technological revolutions in human history. The man who democratized knowledge died without experiencing the fame he deserved. It's a story of genius betrayed, of innovation stolen, of a revolution born from the pain of one man's struggle. But here's the truth that Fust could never steal. Gutenberg's real legacy wasn't just a printing press. It was the idea that knowledge should be free. That information should be accessible to everyone. An idea so powerful that no lawsuit, no betrayal could ever truly stop it. Sometimes the greatest revolutions are born from the deepest pain. And sometimes history has a way of setting things right. Imagine a world without cheap books, without newspapers, without scientific journals, without the internet. A world where knowledge is a luxury, locked away in monasteries and royal libraries. That's the world we would still be living in if not for one man, Johannes Gutenberg. His printing press wasn't just a machine, it was the medieval world's version of Wi-Fi. It connected people. It spread ideas faster than anyone thought possible. It was the original information superhighway. Think about everything that came after: the scientific revolution, the Renaissance, the Reformation, the Enlightenment. None of these would have happened, or at least not in the way we know them, without Gutenberg's incredible invention. One single idea. One simple concept of movable metal type. That's all it took to change the entire course of human civilization. Gutenberg proved something we often forget, that innovation isn't about massive resources or incredible wealth. It's about seeing the world differently. It's about believing that something impossible can become possible. He was betrayed. He died poor. He never saw the full impact of his invention, but his legacy, it's everywhere around us. Every book you've ever read, every newspaper, every website, every piece of information that flows freely, it all goes back to that small workshop in Mainz, Germany. Love this journey through history? Here's what you can do. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone who loves a great origin story. Subscribe to the Medieval Archives, because we've got a treasure trove of epic stories just waiting to be told. And remember the words that could have been Gutenberg's motto, a truth that resonates across centuries. The truth cannot be stopped. One person, one idea, an entire world changed. Until next time, history hunters.